Welcome to Two Hypnotherapists Talking with me, Denise Billen Mejia, in Delaware, USA.
And me, Martin Ferber, in Preston, UK.
This weekly podcast is for anyone and everyone who'd like to know more about the fascinating subject of hypnosis and the benefits it offers.
I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and psychotherapist.
I'm a retired medical doctor turned consulting hypnotist.
We are Two Hypnotherapists Talking.
So let's get on with the episode.
Denise and I had some great guests in this series. Some of the best bits are coming up right now, but keep an eye out for Series 3 of Two Hypnotherapists Talking, which starts on Sunday, the 7th of May. Let's take a look back now, though, at some of our wonderful guests who appeared in Series 2. Back at the beginning of the series, in Episode 2, we were joined by hypnosis royalty Larry and Cheryl Ellman as they prepared for the Dave Ellman Legacy Conference. Here's some of what they had to say.
Talking. And Denise and I have got hypnosis royalty as guests today. We have no other than Larry and Cheryl Ellman in the States, and I am absolutely delighted beyond words that you've joined us. Thank you.
As am I.
Thank you. So now it's two by two hypnotists today.
Yes, double the hypnosis. But I think we should start way back when. Larry, obviously, with the name Ellman, you've known about hypnosis for quite some time. Could you give our listeners just a little taste of what it was like growing up in Dave Ellman's house or on the road with Dave?
Yeah, probably the thing that'll amuse most of you most and may put this in perspective. My father had been in vaudeville, and when vaudeville failed, which would be around 1920, he found himself unemployed in New York City. And at that time in New York City, a fast way to get yourself arrested was to either be or claim to be a hypnotist. So he never mentioned it. If you're in vaudeville, you need to be an understudy to the adjoining acts. So if somebody gets sick, the show must go on. In fact, I remember from age 3 being told, the show must go on. So he never told anybody, and he spent several years musician, songwriter, actor, etc., trying to move into radio, which was the big coming technology. And he finally gets a radio show started in 1937 called Hobby Lobby. So my father wanted to put a hypnotist on the radio. Mm-hmm. And the lawyers and the network and everybody got all panicked. What happens if somebody in the audience driving a car goes into trance and kills themselves? We'll be sued. Mm-hmm. My father knew doggone well that this is an avoidable non-problem, had to pretend he was not a hypnotist, knew nothing about it, and convince them. Mm-hmm. So he's done a job on this. And meanwhile, as I say, he had not admitted to being a stage hypnotist. So finally, in what I believe was the first show of Hobby Lobby in 1949, he has as his guest a hypnotist who proceeds to blow his act. He's got a dozen people up on stage. Half of them don't go into trance. He gives a suggestion. It's ignored. Now, meanwhile, I'm at that point parents thought was asleep in the car, but of course, you know, kids, they're not asleep in the car. They're listening. Has heard my parents discussing the fact that if the show gets blown, we lose a sponsor, we're out of work. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting in the studio audience watching this, and I'm nervous. And suddenly my father steps forward and says, Mr. whoever it was, you've done such a wonderful job. I'll bet these people would even take suggestions from me. Uh-huh. The hypnotist knows that he's in trouble. And he says, the next voice you hear will be Dave Ellman, do whatever he says. And he runs off stage. And my father immediately goes into his old vaudeville. And it works. Of course it works.
Our next guest in the series featured British hypnotherapist Les Roberts, who told us about some of the fascinating work she does with children.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I've been looking sort of like with real interest at this work you've been doing with children over the school holidays, which is about their mental health and well-being, and you've been doing a lot of classes with that. And I was looking at some of the well-being things that you were doing because you were putting them up online. And, it all really ties in with hypnosis for children, doesn't it? All the kind of things about, dreams and wishes. And it's all, positive future visualization in one form or another, which is, it is all hypnosis and what have you. How have you find that's gone with them?
Oh, it's fantastic. Like I said just before you press record, it's absolutely exhausting. However, it is so rewarding to watch the children come in, and they don't want to leave the parents, but we have a policy, parents do not stay because there's no room. Because we have 10 children in each class and there's no room for parents to stay. Plus also it's a case of, I feel that they may be distracted if the parents are there. So the parents already know that they're not to stay. And doing a group of 10 children, they seem to bounce off each other all the time. And you can see them not just forging friendships, but also seeing how others react to what I talk about. But bringing in the crafting is just so that they're not just sat there twiddling their thumbs listening to me, because they'd just space out if we did that. So but the crafts, like you said, are all with the topic of like putting the worries to bed. The dream capture, so that we didn't say it was to catch negative dreams. Our purpose was to catch wonderful dreams and nice thoughts, so that it hangs up at your window and it stops all those not very nice dreams coming through and everything. So like I said, it's very tiring, but it's very, very rewarding. And I'm very fortunate that because I'm a CIC company, which is a community interest company, I can apply for funding from anywhere, from the lottery, from any charity, but this funding was from the Department for Education and our local council.
Yeah, I noticed that, and of course that is a glowing endorsement, for the council to sponsor it.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Are these programs that you put together, you see the children sequentially, or is it one-off?
No, they can attend. Say Christmas, we held the classes for 8 days. They can attend for the 8 days. They can attend in the morning and in the afternoon, but the morning and afternoon are repeated, on that particular day. But no, they can turn up for as many sessions as they want.
And because it was funded by the council, was it free to the point of service for the kids? Great.
Yeah, it's free for the children to attend also, because I apply for the funding, and when I apply for the funding, I also apply for extra funding, so we can give them what we call a wellbeing box. And in that wellbeing box are all the activities for the whole of those 8 days.
Oh, that's great.
And they get to take them home. All the instructions are written out so that if they don't attend, say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but only come Thursday, Friday, then they've got
the
rest.
They've still got that. Yeah. Have you found that any parents are so delighted with the response of their kids that they've wanted to bring them back for more personalized stuff?
I've actually got a few children to see from the back of the summer ones, and I've had a few inquiries from the Christmas one as well. But we've got one going on in Easter as well. So they run 3 times a year. They run Easter holidays, which is that March, April time?
Depends on the year.
Yeah. Summer and Christmas as well. So we run them 3 times a year. The funding is only available, I think, for the next 2 years. So I'm just going to hopefully make the most of it. However, I will tell you though, on the back of it, because I've forged these really good relationships with the people at the council, I've also been invited to do a few bits and pieces for the DART program, which is the domestic abuse, the you know, after the perpetrator has left, and how you know we can help to strengthen those relationships between the child and the parent.
Excellent.
So I've got that, and I also we did some we made some little eye masks with lavender with the ladies who completed the DART rehabilitation course. So fingers crossed it will go a little bit.
This is
further.
really brilliant and
ripple
specialized stuff. Yeah, as I say, I was following it with great interest. All the different crafting classes and things they're doing, and seeing the logic behind each actual activity and where it was coming from. And I was really enjoying following it. So anyway, Denise, as you know, was a pediatrician, and she has said on more than one occasion on various podcasts when we get to talk about children, they're all hypnotized little beings till, I think you say, till about 8 or 9 years old, don't you? So I was just wondering then if we could talk a bit about actually when hypnotizing children, how you find it compared to hypnotizing an adult.
The same really, but easier, to be
but
perfect.
faster,
It's easier because as we get older, we forget how to use our imagination. But if you think about it, when you read a book, you get engrossed in that book, don't you? You actually are on those pages reliving, you know, because I remember reading a book and I had streams of tears running down my face at this one particular book. But as we get older, we tend not to do that as much. Whereas children do have that ability to fall in and out of self-hypnosis so much quicker than us.
Episode 6 of Two Hypnotherapists Talking saw us speaking with US-based hypnotherapist Dr. Eugenia Andrews. Her long career in helping others achieve their aims was fascinating to hear.
Today we're joined by Dr. Eugenia Andrews, who holds a doctorate in psychology and is a life coach and clinical hypnotherapist. Welcome, Eugenia. I forgot to say, and you're joining us from Texas.
That's
which
right.
is great.
Yes.
And you could have joined us from Athens because you spend a good deal of time there too. So
I am actually from Athens, Greece. I'm originally from Athens. Yes.
So what are you going to talk to us today about?
Oh, my favorite subject. How to help clients have healthier habits, have the life they want, and have the weight they want, the figure they want, and most of all, be happy with how they look, how they feel, and who they are.
Great.
So we're talking more specifically about releasing weight, and the primary and most important key is how to keep it off.
Yes,
absolutely. That is the key thing, keeping the weight off.
Yeah. However, I do think that once people start to lose and they start to feel happier, it makes it so much easier to keep going. And so do you have clients come back to you because they've not been able to maintain it, or do you have an ongoing program that helps them maintain their happiness level?
And that's part of my own story, if I may interject.
Oh, please. Yes. Please. How did you get there?
Yeah, the way I became a hypnotherapist was because when I started my practice in the 80s, I had the fear of public speaking, and I was getting invited to be speaking in front of conferences and various networking meetings, and I would get kind of panicky, and so I decided to seek hypnotherapy here in Texas. Actually, that was after graduate school, and that helped immensely. And eventually, when I had my daughter, I gained 40 pounds, and I sought out hypnosis, and I kept the weight off until the pandemic, when I gained, and she's 30, so she just got married in September. And
congratulations!
Thank you. Until I gained about 30 pounds, because I got very busy. I started working globally with all over the world. I trained 4 other hypnotherapists and it was even forgetting to eat and drink water, and then I will eat a big meal at night,
Right.
and usually sugary things or fast food. And so my practice tripled during the pandemic, and so I decided to do something about it because my daughter was getting married September 1st, and I needed to lose the weight. I sought hypnosis again. I also did self-hypnosis with myself, and I lost 30 pounds easily. And since then, I have lost another 7 pounds. And I am now at my, the weight I carried in my early 40s. So
excellent, excellent.
Yes.
So, but just back up a little bit more backstory,
yes.
please. When did you first encounter hypnosis? Did you already know it was a useful modality and that's why you looked for it? Or were you looking for a cure? Were you looking for help with your weight originally and then found hypnosis?
So when I was in graduate school, I went to school at the University of Wisconsin in Milwaukee, and Milton Erickson is from Wisconsin, and some of his proteges and people he trained, hypnotherapists, came to graduate school and did a 3-day seminar in hypnosis. And I was thrilled and I was very intrigued. So I decided this is something I might want to pursue down the line in addition to my counseling that I was starting to do. And so one day I opened Time magazine at the dorm, and I saw actually on the cover Frank Monahan, who is was a hypnotherapist here in Texas, who gave me the hypnosis actually for the fear of public speaking. He was Man of the Year. And so that's when I moved to Texas, I sought him out. And, fear of public speaking is the second most severe fear after fear of death in the world. So I think, though, for me, the fear of gaining weight was for a long time a major fear. And it is for my clients.
Solution-focused hypnotherapist Josephine Blackburn joined us as our guest in episode 8 of season 2. Here's some of what she had to say.
And so this program has been devised by, well, he's an NLP practitioner as well as a solution-focused hypnotherapist, and he's devised this mind reboot, and it's a quick way, like 6 to 7 sessions, and it works because you've got lots of different avenues to work from. So you've got the NLP techniques, you've got the solution focused brief, so you've got the hypnosis part of it as well. So yes, it's a good technique to clear all those things that are stuck in our bucket, as we say. So yes.
Yes, I'm interested to hear more about this, Joe, because obviously you and I both trained with the same model, solution focused, and sessions follow a fairly rigid routine, don't they, in terms of starting off with what's been good, some brain revision, scaling, miracle question, and then the trance part of it. Is there an additional phase with this mind reboot program?
Yes, I mean, we still do ask what's been better, what's been good this week, so it's definitely focusing on that positive. But it's also, although we were told not to dwell on the past, not to go into the past, it is important, I feel, certainly from a beauty therapist point of view, and I had hypnotherapy myself, and I think it is important to know a little bit of background of why they've come through the door. If they don't want to tell you everything, they don't have to tell you everything, but I think it's important to get that little bit of information. And then it's working on those things that are stuck in their bucket that actually are holding them back and constantly hold them back. So it's a way of, clearing those past traumas, traumatic experiences, high emotional experiences, and being able to free those up so that actually you're thinking differently. You can, see that actually that doesn't need to have such a hold on your life, because quite often things are misunderstandings. It's not actually the way that you perceived it to be, because as we know,
that's always, whenever we're working with memory, what you remember is probably not what happened exactly.
Yeah.
It's your interpretation of it, and it's your interpretation at the time that you're thinking about it, because
absolutely,
if you look at a memory and then you go back and look at it again, it's quite different.
It is. Yeah.
We always do say, don't we, every time you sort of bring a memory back, you twiddle it just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Right, and pop it back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fascinating. But
yeah.
So you're still following, though, a set. This reboot is a program. Do you do it as a group program or is it individual?
It's individual. Okay. Yeah.
So the only ones I have, this is this week, this is next week, this is this week, this is my group programs, because obviously they'd all be at different places and it would be very complicated. But the training that I got was not solution focused. Not that they weren't looking for solutions, or that what the client wanted is definitely where we're going. But the most rigid they were, I do hope nobody from the school's watching. The most rigid they were, that it was really important to have an arm elevation. It was the main convincer that was used in the standard induction process, and I threw that out the window almost right away, because it's difficult to do online, and most of us were then working online in 2019 even, and it was okay, but it interfered, because I had to keep saying, could you move your camera a little bit so I can see what you're doing?
Yes.
So I would do maybe some sort of movement in the elbow, but I couldn't tell what they were. Anyway, but my program encouraged a more, I won't say not client-centered, because you guys obviously are client-centered, but it was, whatever you did was, other than the fact that you would induct them, you would do whatever you were doing, you bring them out, you put them back in, so you've got a post-hypnotic suggestion. That was, the basic program, where we were very open about what we were actually doing with the client.
Yeah.
So
Helen Breward, the hypnotherapist who bills herself as the cool menopause lady, featured in episode 10. She has a wealth of knowledge and experience. It was an absolute joy to have her on the show.
So, Helen, let's talk about the kind of hypnotherapy you do, because I'm not familiar with the type of stuff you do. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that, tell our listeners?
So when I'm working with clients, and I didn't actually realise this, it was Cheryl Ellman that told me actually what I was doing. I was just doing me, all right. Now, and then we all have to do ourselves, because there's only us that can do ourselves. And if we're going to do good and great hypnotherapy with clients, we have to do it as ourselves. Yeah. And we were chatting one day, and she said, well, what you're actually saying, Helen, is that you're a client-centered hypnotherapist. And I went, oh yeah, hadn't realised that, because when I did my training, there was no title. You were just a hypnotherapist,
right?
I mean, nowadays there's things like a solution-focused hypnotherapist. There's a cognitive hypnotherapist. There's this, that, and the other. And I thought, oh, that's what I do then. And it's quite, in some respects, it's not a label, but it's quite nice to know the type of hypnosis that I deliver is actually called this kind of thing. So, and then people will say to me, well, what do you mean by that? So, well, what I mean by that is, when somebody comes to see me, I have a rough idea of what I'm going to do with you, but I actually don't know what I'm going to do with you till I have a chat with you. And whatever I decide to do with you is done in a way that is congruent with you, not a textbook, not a scripted list that I've got to follow it word by word, and I can't ad-lib and I can't do this, that, and the other.
Right.
This is purely about you and for you in your way, kind of therapy.
And if you're not going to have that kind of client-centered work, then you may as well just hand out tapes. But it has to be customized to the client completely, and customized to how the client is that day in that moment. Yes, because what they were feeling like last Saturday might be completely different.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you
yeah.
ever done an intake on a client? You've got you've got a real good idea of what you're going to do, and they come in that day and it's just thrown out thrown out completely.
Throws out the window.
Yeah,
absolutely. Happens very frequently. I have, before I work with a client, I get their notes out, and I get a sheet of paper out, and I write the name on the top, and I look at what we did last time, and I write literally 1 or 2 ideas of the techniques that I could do with them. It's not that often I'd actually do that.
Yeah.
Occasionally I can, but it's just a couple of ideas to get me, just to get me going if I need to get going or I need an idea. But 9 times out of 10, I end up doing something completely different, because they've moved either further forward, or they've moved one sideways, or they've moved this way or that way. And now this has become a problem that's never been mentioned before. So then we need to work on that.
And I think sometimes that is just a product of the rapport you build with somebody. I wasn't going to mention this, but now I can see I can trust you with this piece of information.
Yeah,
or even just, would it work for this too? Can we talk about this? Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I always say that with clients, the initial issue is never the issue. It's 2 or 3 sessions down the line, something else always comes out. And as you say, Denise, I think it's to do with rapport and trust, which, nobody will trust you 100% instantly from the first meeting.
Of course not.
It's got to be earned. And
you would worry about somebody that did.
Well, yeah.
The thing is, though, I was talking to a potential new client the other day, and it was a parents and their teenage child, let's say. And at one point, one of the parents looked at me and said, "I don't think they're giving you all the story." And I said, "That's absolutely fine. I know that, and that's what I am expecting, because they have to learn to trust me."
Yeah.
So this is fine. But no, honestly, it's fine. I have a few ideas of what else might be going on. But nobody is ever forced to say anything. You can talk about the weather. If all you want to do is talk about the weather, that's fine.
Yeah.
But you've got to build that rapport, that trust. People have to trust you before they can allow the real secret, or whatever it is, the real issue, let's say, to come out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Our final guest of Series 2 was Larissa Bellotti, a clinical hypnotherapist from the south coast of England. Larissa told us about the work she does, including hypnosis without hypnosis. Listen in to find out what we mean by that.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, lovely. Excellent. So I was having a look at your website as well, Larissa. As Denise said earlier on, I'm a bit of a stalker. Now, I was just taking a look, and it's, I mean, obviously I know about solution-focused hypnotherapy. Denise does. Our regular listeners and viewers do as well. But I was reading something about the control system.
Yeah.
Another way of accessing the subconscious mind without using hypnosis trance. Tell me more.
Yeah, so I love that way of working as well. So I use both, depending who I'm seeing and what it's for, and also I have to check that they can work in that specific way, because it is very different. And as you say, there's no trance, no actual hypnosis. So it's all done through conversation using idiomotor responses, which I'm sure you know what that is. Some of the listeners might not. So it's getting a signal back from the subconscious mind, really.
Okay.
So yeah, it's very different, but it's very specific and very direct. So I use it a lot with things like phobias. I mean, you can use it for anything really that you can with solution focus. But it is, I think it's a surprising way of working sometimes, because people, they come for hypnotherapy are expecting hypnosis.
Are they expecting the swinging pocket watch and the whole thing? Or...
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
But we do actually, in the control system, we do some kind of, how would you say, exercises, just imagination exercises to just check how open someone is to it. So it's almost like some of the things that stage hypnotists might do to check someone's susceptibility, or if they're open enough, to do the thing.
Yeah, but I think that, sorry for correcting you, but it's not that they are superior. It's just that type of hypnosis. They are are going to be able to cooperate with a hypnotist whilst being watched by 25 other people or
Exactly.
300 other people.
Yeah,
Whereas
and those-
many people can't. They would be just as good subjects, but not in that situation.
Exactly. So obviously this is a much more relaxed environment, and I'm not getting them to do anything silly, but it's just to check how their imagination works, and just to check that I can get those responses from the subconscious mind. And then when that's the case, it's the way of working, it's almost like you negotiate with the subconscious mind. It's, the subconscious has got these patterns of thinking and behavior that have been put in place for whatever reason, things learned as a child or because of a situation that someone's been through. And it's just kind of getting the conscious message through to the subconscious that it's time to change that strategy is no longer serving them. So it's it's a very different way of working, but I really enjoy it as well.
So I'm just thinking, though, for anybody listening and watching, we're saying this isn't hypnosis, but it is. It's not the formal hypnosis they may perceive, but the whole procedure, the whole process, it is a form of hypnosis. So
is it closer to Ericksonian?
What he did was so varied, wasn't it? So probably to some extent. But it's just done through conversation. And the difference as well is that because it's done through conversation, the first session I usually say leave 2 hours, because you don't know how long it's going to take.
Right.
You don't know how open to change the subconscious is. Sometimes it comes up with barriers, and it's just kind of putting those barriers to rest so that you can do the work.
Good.
And to all the guests who joined Denise and myself in Series 2, we offer a special thanks. And of course, thanks to you, our listeners and viewers. We'll see you back in Series 3, which starts on Sunday, the 7th of May. We'll see you then.